Thank you very much for these great intros. Let's make a round of applause for our speakers. Now, the current topic is somehow a natural continuation of the last panel, and you will see why. I'm going to skip now the intros that I have prepared for you because they were done very extensively by the MC. But maybe we will speak about your current investments and why you have a good grasp of what is happening in the world of automation right now. My first question goes to Mihai. UiPath, you annually publish your report on the state of automation, and you question, I don't know how many, but anyway, many professionals who are in the UiPath community, where you can actually see how they benefit mostly from the automation at this point in which departments they are. Can you maybe share a bit more about the insights that you have gained? And is there something surprising that you saw in the 2024 report?
Thank you, Irina. The survey was done specifically on the global base, but we saw 2,000 people responded. And we can see an increasing trend, especially in Asia Pacific, people responding.
Okay.
And some of the key findings are very interested and somehow in line with what I see as a CIO when I go and talk to customers, understand how automation teams, we call them center of excellence, are developing.
Okay.
Over the last 5-6 years. Most of the automation teams believe that in the last 12 months, 61% of them believe that they increase the automation teams, and 81% believe that in the next 12 months, these teams will increase, especially as we think about incorporating GenAI technologies. 50% of these automation teams or automation professionals already using GenAI technologies, specifically machine learning, but generic AI as well. And the most cases that they use these AIs for writing code. I saw another study, 20% of the generative AI is used for writing code. Pretty low. The highest one being 40% in using GenAI for documentation. But we see an increasing trend in testing. So using GenAI for testing. UiPath has a strong AI technology called the UiPath testing solution, which is now more and more adopted. From a training perspective, automation professionals believe that, and 98% of them are actually training by themselves. They train by themselves using the community, using video tutorial, using online courses. Another interesting fact pattern that the study revealed was around the impact of automation on their career. They believe that they have actually a real impact in the organization. And I can tell you because I'm running a center of excellence as well, and we are using our own technology ourselves, so we drink our own champagne. 80% of them believe that they have a crucial role in the organization, and their role is very well observed. They participate in driving some decisions on choosing some technologies. And overall, they want to stay in this position for 5 years. And I think this is because, automation is a very evolving space, considering the new GenAI technologies that will reshape a little bit the automation space. This is because it's boosting their careers. They have the community, they have the appreciation from the companies.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I was recently talking to a machine learning professional, and he is now applying for a new job. And they still receive all those algorithmic questions where they need to write the code, but he's been working with AI for so many years. So I was actually thinking that, generic AI is actually now affecting also how we're going to hire people, because, these kind of questions are now obsolete. You need to create the impact in a different way and not knowing what you've learned at the university. But just a remark on the side, yeah?
I think generative AI technologies are going to, they're used to develop specialized AI technologies. Mm-hmm. So if you think about the data extraction model that is trained, then if you have the functionality of extracting the data from an invoice, from a contract, it gives power. So if traditional automation is around structured processes and structured data, now AI is how do you apply AI to go into the unstructured work?
Exactly.
And where the human is in the loop. So all of this, it's definitely moving very fast. I don't believe automation is a technology debt. I think it's the muscle, and we talk about agentic AI. I think the specialized AI, it's the brain, But you still need automation because you need to give actions to those data, to those processes.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that into context. Also, for me as a journalist, it was interesting to differentiate it from today's point of view. What is the difference between automation and AI? Dan, so Earlybird was one of the first investors in the UiPath success story. And I'm sure that you invested with a lot of conviction back then, but I'm also sure that there was a lot of luck involved. So I'm curious, how is the experience that you've done so far with UiPath help you navigate investments in the current automation and AI space? What did you learn, and how do you build conviction from today's perspective?
Yeah, there was a lot of luck, and I think you have to be lucky. I'm trying to be lucky again. The luck was basically coming from the structure of the market. There was a marked transition from what I would call contractual automation, which was people outsourcing the entire business processes to business process outsourcers in India mainly, to technology automation. And this was the emergence of RPA. And the luck was that it was a huge demand, latent demand in the market. And this was a market where there was no gorilla in the room. There was no Microsoft, no Oracle involved, no SAP. Nobody understood the possibility that technology was bringing. And out of this came UiPath, and the decisions that one person made clearly made UiPath a success. And I'm referring to Daniel, which had the foresight to go after attended robots, unattended robots, understand the importance of data extraction and unstructured data extraction. So all this was clearly a marked change in a very, very specific sector. We continue to do investments in the space of automation. I mean, we didn't realize at the time, but automation became a big thing for our first fund. We invested in Mineit, which was process mining. We invested in physical automation. So we invested in Photoneo, which is now Photoneo and Brightpeak, actual robots, physical robots that are automating the tasks. So I see that we tend to gravitate towards talking about AI and generative AI and how is this changing. But I still think that there is a lot of opportunity in the traditional automation in enterprise. I think digital transformation is a much bigger market than generative AI, and with a much larger impact. I think here we are talking about automating things that people do in Excel today still. I invested in DCS Plus, which is a vertical travel technology company, which still implements software that with the push of a button replaces the work of 400 accountants. And there are people that use 400 people in order to reconcile books, which you can do with software today. Yeah. And you need to look at how you look at processes, because for fairly rigid processes, automation in the traditional sense, where you write an application that automates tasks, has a much bigger impact than any Gen AI that you can deploy now and hope that it's going to change something marginal.
I doubt that it's going to be an either or. It's going to be probably, as Mihai said, a combination. But I ran into a very interesting data recently that was done by Stripe, and we can talk about how representative that is. But what they said is that AI startups are now currently in a situation where they can generate much more revenue than actually the SaaS companies. I don't know how they define AI startups. That's also another problem. I couldn't find, unfortunately, the report. But let's see. How are we going to measure the rise or the competition between both technologies? And probably they will be rather supplementary and complementary than...
I think there are two measures. One is hype, and clearly Gen AI wins on hype. But when you look at the actual impact, traditional automation coming from companies like ERPs even,
Yeah.
to vertical business software companies have much more impact.
And revenue, probably. We'll see. George, because the Hungarian pronunciation is not my forte. So you yourself have experience with investing in the space. You're responsible for the investments in Viridian, a great success story, Wellbone, Turbine, FlowX here in Romania, and FlowX is on the platform of UiPath, so we can actually see the synergies here happening. So from your perspective, what are the trends that are currently happening in the financial enterprise industry specifically? And do you believe that Central and Eastern Europe or the USP of Central and Eastern Europe could become automation and AI after already several great success stories here?
Yep. First of all, I just want to link back to what you said. There's a lot of trick around the words generative AI, AI automation, and usually common usage of these words is not, precise compared to the technological term. So I remember, I'm old enough to remember when, investors invested into IT. And for decades, the official government, questionnaires asked, is there an IT component in your investment? That was everywhere. Since the web, IT is everywhere. AI and automation is everywhere. I'm sorry to use the automation everywhere phrase here.
Ubiquitous.
Yeah. So automation is everywhere. That's what changed with the introduction of OpenAI, I believe. Automation will affect every single element of corporate and private life. So whenever we invest, in a way we invest into automation in the very general sense. Now, Day One Capital has invested into FlowX and into Viridian, but FlowX is probably the one that relies on AI other than Turbine, which is a biotech firm in our portfolio. They're trying to create a simulation platform for cancer research, so the cell research. So that's where the machine does the majority of the job, what took a lot of time earlier. And what I've seen in the portfolio and in others' portfolio, that the biggest challenge here is not the technology again, but rather like the interface between technology and adoption, cultural factors, sociological factors and stuff. This whole thing is about time, is about adoption, is about flexibility, how you actually incorporate into the life of the enterprise. And we just discussed it a few minutes earlier. There are huge enterprises that haven't even started the very basic of automation. FlowX started to address those guys with a low-code, no-code proposition, and they quickly learned that they can't use the word low-code, no-code, which is a technical term of they have to use application modernization because that's the human term for what they are aiming at. So modernizing, digitizing your operation, whether you're a private citizen or an enterprise with automation and AI, I think that's the name of the game in almost every investment these days.
Coming back to the potential of Central and Eastern Europe, I'm very curious because I think we have the engineering excellence necessary to excel on a global scale, and we saw that happening, although UiPath maybe has been an outlier. And then actually, I'm wondering, how do you evaluate the potential for us to be a global innovation hub when it comes to automation and AI? Because somehow AI, in my opinion, has an equalizing effect. We're not an economy that has huge number of engineers, but it has great engineers. And era of AI and automation, we don't need the numbers anymore, so we can actually compete with the big ones. So in your opinion, what is the potential of Central and Eastern Europe here? And I have a special question also to Mihai. How do you think UiPath can actually support the next generation of innovations and entrepreneurs here in the region with what you have achieved and the program that you have achieved? Okay. I hope that helps.
I think UiPath already supported.
We can't hear you. No? Okay. Try, I think they said it's okay.
It's back. Thank you. UiPath already supported by creating probably a couple of tens of millionaires that are going to set up their own companies. And I think there's a huge potential because these people are like very well versed in working with a global company. UiPath is a global company, so they've been experienced in dealing with a lot of customers. I was traveling to Sweden last week, and as George mentioned, there's still a lot of, traditional automation. They haven't started the journey. So these new people that will leave UiPath will set up new companies, and they will focus on those things that are still not developed. Then talk about process mining. I don't think there is a very strong or strong companies in the process mining world. I don't think they have strong companies in the integration platform as a service. I think there's a lot to be done in these areas. People are still using Excels, so there's a lot of potential in these areas. I believe UiPath anyway is supporting this by hiring the great people. And also, if you think about Eastern Europe is known as a pool of companies that to do shared service. So I think the knowledge of how to work in a shared service is really important from a product perspective.
Dan, how do you evaluate the potential here?
The opportunity is structural in the end. You want to be in verticals or problem spaces where there is no entrenched large competitor, and this is what helped UiPath succeed. Again, there was no gorilla in the room. There were 3 main competitors. All of them were in the 1 to 10 million. And now with Gen AI, people expect that the structure of the large sectors of technology, of business technology, is going to change. So as long as people understand that and choose wisely the sectors in which they compete, they have a fighting chance. Once the bigger companies start to emerge, it's much more difficult to compete as a startup.
And in which verticals would you see the potential most? Mihai mentioned a couple of them.
I mean, anything that brings unstructured, that brings structured to what is now unstructured information or processes is now up for grabs. There is no large application provider that dominates all the verticals, and there are more and more use cases that are being shown.
Yeah.
So extraction of data from different contexts, invoices, contracts. And contracts, if you think about like the verticals, healthcare or manufacturing or software, if you then think about the audio, the video, the processes, even processes are uncovered. Processes are a mess. There's no good BPM or a good process mining tool in my view. Even if UiPath has one, it's struggling. There's still big potential there. And also, audio and emails and communications. Everything is unstructured. What Dan said is totally right.
George, a couple of words at the end before we wrap up. How can we continue defining and changing the landscape of AI and innovation from Central and Eastern Europe? How can we keep on redefining and changing the landscape of AI and automation here from Central and Eastern Europe?
I usually approach everything from a geopolitical and historical.
That's why I enjoy the conversations with you.
I just want to bring up the well-known example of Prussia in the 19th century. AI and automation is a technological shift what the Industrial Revolution brought in scale. It's comparable. And at that time, Prussia was lagging behind, but they chose the best technology because they had the will to keep up. So that's the message for any emerging region or country. AI or the companies that were actually lagging behind in automation. Now with the new gen of automation technologies, you have a chance to close the gap with the most developed countries, but it requires, first of all, a strong will and capital and commitment. One other element is necessity. So in Eastern Europe, I believe that the war, the tragic war in Ukraine and Russia, actually forced thousands and thousands of engineers to think about the future, to think about a relocation and what they want to do. So again, mobility and necessity is always, something that you're looking for as an opportunity, and it's happening here. So on the one hand, we need to, like Marius Istrata is praising here in the conference, we need to have a will to catch up, and the other one, use these opportunities when a large amount of talent is available, and somehow, had a contract with them.
Mm-hmm. I hope you made some notes of where the spaces where the next decacorn and the global success story can appear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Irina.
I want to use also the opportunity just to invite you to the startup stage. We are pre-launching today our AI report, where we look at Central and Eastern European ecosystems potential. It will be at 1, and please give a big applause to our speakers.
Thank you so much, everybody.